On Friday, spokesperson for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi confirmed that her husband, Paul Pelosi, was violently assaulted in their home during a break-in. So this is happening in San Francisco. So now police haven't disclosed a motivation behind the break-in, but we do have some information showing that it very much could be politically motivated. After all, apparently, this is according to sources there that are familiar with this investigation. The assailant was looking for Nancy. Now, that said, Mr. Pelosi is expected to make a full recovery. As soon as the news came out, and this is what's interesting, right-wing trolls on Twitter basically creamed themselves over this. Oh, yes, look at this. Paul Pelosi, victim of Democrat crime wave. So, note that a lot of these responses are, oh, see, Nancy Pelosi, soft on crime, and she's the victim of a crime. Take that. Another person says, this is all on social media, by the way. Paul Pelosi was violently assaulted in his San Francisco home by an intruder this morning. Hey, Nancy, now do you think there's a crime problem? Assailant arrested, motive unknown. Want to bet he's a repeat offender out on bail? The Leo Terrell says, attention, Paul Pelosi and Nancy Pelosi. Crime does not discriminate. So it's apparently a right-wing podcaster. Another person on social media said, it's hard to feel sorry for Paul Pelosi and Speaker Pelosi when they've championed the movement for lawlessness for so long. Now, look, I point this out because it really is amazing how thick that right-wing bubble is. In fact, I'm going to show you a video here. This is Fox News. When the news had come out, before we had any details, immediately jumping into this.
It's pretty high living, as you know, and they also have a home up in Napa Valley. This did not happen in Napa. It happened in San Francisco, according to the reporting. But you think about right now about crime and how we've been talking about this for the last 2 years, depending on how the circumstances of the story work out here. Crime hits everybody. Point being, this can happen anywhere. Crime is random, and that's why it's such a significant part of this election story here.
It's an election story? Aren't these the same people that are like, oh, don't politicize these tragedies? Now you're making an election story about crime. About crime. So let me give you some facts about what's going on here. Crime is actually decreasing in San Francisco. In fact, most categories of crime were down from pre-pandemic levels. Now, this was even before, that trend was continuing, even though, or I should say, even before the recall of an anti-incarceration prosecutor that happened in California. And another fact, Democrats love police. Look, I'm going to be honest, right? I'm a progressive, and establishment Democrats, especially the politicians, lick the boots of police just as much as Republicans claim to do so. Let me give you some facts on that. The 25 largest Democrat-run cities, spend about 38% more on policing per capita than the largest 25 Republican-run cities. Of the 25 largest cities in the country, 20 saw increases in their police budgets from fiscal year 2019 to fiscal year 2022. 21 of these cities are run by Democrats. Oh, weird. Lawless Democrats funding police. Weird. Democrat-run cities also have more police per capita than Republican-run cities. The 25 largest Democrat-run cities employ 75% more police officers per capita than the largest 25 Republican-run cities. Weird. No, it's very strange. Oh, and by the way, the American Rescue Plan, that included an additional $350 million in federal funding to hire more police officers. Hey, do you know what Republicans voted on that? They voted against the American Rescue Plan, because of course they did. And again, speaking of crime, there's actually more homicides that happen in red states than anywhere else. So, in fact, a study by Third Way found that in 2020, per capita murder rates were 40% higher in states won by Donald Trump than those won by Joe Biden. And 8 out of the 10 states with the highest murder rates in 2020 voted for the Republican presidential nominee in every election this century. It's almost like red states have a crime problem. Now, the thing that some Democrats are asking for when they're not kneeling in kente cloth is, hey, maybe you could stop, killing unarmed black people. That would be really great. It would be really, really nice if you would stop doing that. But, you don't have to, though. We're just going to keep showering you with money anyway. Again, that's corporate Democrats for you, right? The progressives are the only ones that are like, hey, maybe we should do some major reform here, and maybe not send them so much money to over-militarize. That said, before the update, right-wingers were doing weirdo speculation. Get ready for the conspiracy theories, folks. One person notes, Paul Pelosi assaulted during home intrusion? Sounds like a very convenient distraction on the heels of this upcoming midterms. Right. Okay. Yep. Another person says, this is cover fire. The House of the Speaker is not protected, even in her absence. Yeah, Paul Pelosi does not have access to Capitol Police, as he is not a political figure. She is that protection follows her around. When she's not at her home, again, that's up to her, personally to pay for her own security. Another person says, doesn't smell right to me. I think Paul Pelosi allowed this person in, maybe a prostitute, and it went bad. Again, leave it to them to come up with conspiracy theories, because that's all I have. No, what happened is this nut job, according to a person briefed in the case, broke in with a hammer and started screaming, "Where is Nancy? Where is Nancy?" Now, look, I think it should be very obvious. I'm not a fan of Nancy Pelosi. Okay? I'm just not. As a leftist, I think she's too conservative. I think she's too right-wing for my personal tastes. That said, I don't believe in violence. We don't solve our problems with violence. And if anyone who claims to be on the left tries to solve our problems with violence, they're not exactly a leftist in my mind. We don't believe in shooting or beating up our political opponents. Now, can the right wing say the same thing? Can they? Can they? Now, remember, on January 6th, what was one of the people that the right wing mob that attacked the Capitol, who were they going for? They're going for Nancy Pelosi, along with AOC and Mike Pence, the former vice president. And by the way, do you all remember this moment? This is during a Turning Point USA event with Charlie Kirk.
At this point, we're living under corporate and medical fascism. This is tyranny. When do we get to use the guns? No, and I'm not, that's not a joke. I'm not saying it like that. I mean, literally, where's the line? How many elections are they going to steal before we kill these people?
So, no, no, hold on. No, stop. Hold on. And now I'm going to denounce that.
Look, Charlie Kirk, yes, did the right thing. Oh, no, I'm going to shut that down. I'm going to denounce that. Then he goes on to saying, well, that's exactly what the left wants. No, the left doesn't want violence. We just don't. But he had to come up with something, right, to placate them. No, there are people out there that can't wait to do violence. They can't wait. They can't wait. These are voters. These are people in this country. Now, that said, I want to give you some examples of prominent Republican figures, Republican politicians, who have denounced this. For example, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, he wrote this: horrified and disgusted by the reports that Paul Pelosi was assaulted in his and Speaker Pelosi's home last night. Grateful to hear that Paul's on track to make a full recovery and that law enforcement, including our stellar Capitol Police, are on the case. All right. Ted Cruz, by the way, every time, Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz sucks.
God bless you.
Well, here's what he said. What happened to Paul Pelosi last night is horrific. Heidi and I are praying for him and Nancy and the entire Pelosi family. May God's protection be upon them. We can have our political differences, but violence is always wrong and unacceptable. Well, I do agree with that. A super easy thing for Ted Cruz to say, but I'm glad he said it because, that would be the correct way to deal with this. Then, of course, you have Meghan McCain, the usual, conservative politicians and figures. Although I do want to go back to when Kevin McCarthy had said, and this is a video that had come out, that had resurfaced earlier today, where you had Kevin McCarthy saying, well, I can't wait to take the speaker's gavel from Nancy Pelosi, and it'll take a lot for me to not hit her with it. So, hey, Kevin McCarthy, you going to come out and say that this is a terrible thing that happened? I would hope so. Another person, Justin Amash, said prayers for Paul Pelosi, Speaker Pelosi, and their family. Whatever our political differences, grievances, a violent assault like this is never justifiable. It's reprehensible, and I condemn it. So, look, these are, again, Republican political figures and some pundits. Ben Shapiro also weighed in and saying that this is horrible and this person should go to jail for a long time. Okay, all that's well and good. But you might want to, I don't know, start to get through to your fans a little bit. Because they seem to be getting a different message. A message where violence is okay. So, you might want to go through and in your daily, whatever you're doing, okay, your messages, your messaging, you might want to say, hey, all this talk about doing violence or revolution, maybe not a good thing. Maybe not a good idea. We should, put a stop to that. Avoid it. For our country's sake.